Daf Yomi, Tractate Shevuos, Daf Daled of an Aleph, page 4a, top of the page, with the words Eino Chayev Ela Achas, Zo Hi Shevuos Bitui, Shechayvin Al Zedoina Makois Yal Shevuos Kol Ben Oil Yored. He is liable for only one violation, since the second oath did not prohibit any act in addition to the first oath. He is not liable for violating it. The Mishnah concludes, this is an oath on an utterance for which one is liable to receive lashes for its intentional violation and to bring a sliding scale offering for its unwitting violation. Zohi din dechayovin al zedoin makwis. The Gemara infers from the formulation of the Mishnah, it is specifically this case of an oath on an utterance for which one is liable to receive lashes for its intentional violation. But if a person stated, "On my oath I will eat," and then he did not eat, he is not flogged. Presumably, this is because the violation does not involve any action. The Mishnah then can provide a basis for Rabbi Yochanan's ruling. Mechdi, hai sisama v'hai sisama, mai chazidol ki hai sisama, lebe ki hai sisama. The Gemara asks, now this Mishnah, 27b, is unattributed, and that Mishnah, 2a, is unattributed. What did Rabbi Yochanan see that he practiced in accordance with this unattributed Mishnah? Let him instead practice in accordance with that unattributed Mishnah. The Gemara adds another question. And according to your reasoning that both Mishnayot carry equal weight, then with regard to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi himself, when he redacted the Mishnah, how could he teach us as unattributed both this opinion in the Mishnah here and that opinion in the Mishnah there? This would result in a contradiction. Rather, it is apparent that initially Rabbi Yehuda Hanafsi held that for a violation of a prohibition that does not involve an action, one is flogged, and so he taught it as an unattributed Mishnah. Later, he retracted his opinion and held that one is not flogged for the violation of such a prohibition, and so he taught that opinion as an unattributed Mishnah. And he left the first Mishnah, 2a, as it was, because a Mishnah does not move from its place, meaning since the students had already learned that Mishnah, it was deemed inappropriate to remove it. Based on this logic, Rabbi Yochanan ruled in accordance with the latter Mishnah, 27b. B'mai o kimta ke Rabbi Ishmael Ulemalkos Maros Negoim my Malkos Ike Bekoitzitz Bahartoi Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Ilo De Amar Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Ilo Kol Makom Shenemar Hishomer Pen Ve'al Eno Ela Lo Yisasi. The Gemara clarifies, in accordance with which opinion did you interpret the Mishnah? In accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael, and it is referring to liability to receive lashes. The Gemara questions this, but in the parallel case of shades of leprous marks, what punishment of lashes is there? The Gemara answers, there is a punishment of lashes in a case where one cuts off his snow white leprous mark, a baheret, and in accordance with the principle that Rabbi Avin says that Rabbi Ela'ah says, as Rabbi Avin says that Rabbi Ela'ah says, wherever it is stated observe or lest or do not, it is nothing other than a prohibition. So too, with regard to leprosy, the verse states, observe the leprous mark in Deuteronomy 24 verse 8, which according to Rabbi Elah's principle teaches a prohibition, namely that it is prohibited to remove the mark. Accordingly, one who violates this prohibition is liable to receive lashes. Yitzia Shabbos by Magsiko, Lav Shenita Lazavas Mizas Bezdinu, Ichola Shenita Lazavas Mizas Bezdin, Ein Loikin Alo, Mishum Hachika, Mok Mina, Kerav Ishmael, Damar Lav Shenita Lazavas Mizas Bezdin, Loikin Alo. The Gemara asks further, but in the parallel clause of acts of carrying out that are prohibited on Shabbat, what punishment of lashes is there? The prohibition against doing so is a prohibition in the Torah that potentially serves as a mandate for court-imposed capital punishment, and the generally accepted principle is that with regard to a violation of any prohibition in the Torah that potentially serves as a mandate for a court-imposed capital punishment, one is not flogged for its violation, even if no death penalty is imposed, as that prohibition is punishable only by death. The Gemara answers it is due to that reason that we interpreted the Mishnah to be in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael, as he says that with regard to a prohibition in the Torah that potentially serves as a mandate for court-imposed capital punishment, one is flogged for its violation in a case where there is no actual death penalty. Halavachi kai moker Rabbi Akiva kashi diois lavavret rishmoli ulimalkos Rabbi Akiva navi lemalkos. The Gemara asks, is that to say that were it not for this reason, the Mishnah could be interpreted in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, who holds that one is not flogged for violating such prohibitions? But then the question raised above with regard to the Mishnah's detailing of the cases of one's awareness of the defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods poses a difficulty, as Rabbi Akiva holds that one is not liable if he entered the temple during a lapse of awareness of the fact that the place he entered was actually the temple, whereas the Mishnah indicates one is liable in such a case. The Gemara answers, didn't you say above that it is possible to conclude that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael, and the liability referred to in the Mishnah is for liability to receive lashes? Similarly, it is also possible to say that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, and the liability referred to in the Mishnah is for liability to receive lashes. Ihachi yedios asrois uboile. The Gemara asks, if so, why did the Talmud use the term cases of awareness, which is generally used for cases in which the transgression was performed during a lack of awareness, and then subsequent awareness is necessary in order for the person to be liable to bring an offering. The Tana should have instead said forewarnings, as the forewarning is a necessary condition to be able to give lashes for an intentional transgression. The Gemara answers, this is not difficult. Amend and teach the Mishnah as saying cases of awareness of forewarnings. Ihachi, ihachi, ihachi. Ihachi shamshin arba. Tartish dehavian vesu et sheyesh ba yedia betchila v'yedia besof v'hem bintayim ha'alma lemalkos maya bidite besu areze be'oila be'oired. The Gemara rejects the suggestion that the Mishnah is referring to liability to receive lashes. If so, the Mishnah is referring to liability to receive lashes? Why does it state that there are two types that are for? There are only two types. Since the person was forewarned, he is certainly fully aware of all the aspects of his transgression. Accordingly, there are only two cases of liability for a ritually impure person who enters the temple and for a ritually impure person who partakes of sacrificial foods. And furthermore, the continuation of the Mishnah states the case in which one had awareness at the beginning and awareness at the end, but had a lapse of awareness in between when he actually transgressed. The Gemara asks, what is the relevance of lapses of awareness to one's liability to receive lashes? And furthermore, that clause explicitly concludes this person is liable to bring a sliding scale offering. Clearly, then, the Mishnah is not referring to liability to receive lashes. Ela Amar Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Benasiv La Aliba de Tanai Biedios Nasiv La Rabbi Ishmael Shevuos Nasiv La Kiva. Having rejected the suggestion that the Mishnah is referring to liability to be punished with lashes, it addresses the difficulty raised above that the Mishnah's ruling with regard to oaths does not accord with Rabbi Ishmael's opinion, and its ruling with regard to cases of one's awareness of the defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods does not accord with Rabbi Akiva's opinion. If so, whose opinion is expressed in the Mishnah? Rather, Rabbi Yosef said the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and he formulates the Mishnah according to different Tanaim as follows. With regard to cases of one's awareness of the defiling of the temple or its sacrificial foods, he formulates it in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael. And with regard to oaths, he formulates it in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Amar Ravashi אמרית לשמוע את הקמת רב כהנא, ואמר לי לא יתמה, רבי נסיב לה, אליבא דתנאי, ולעז להסביר לו. Ravashi said, I said this statement of Rabbi Yosef before Kahana, and he said to me, do not say that Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi formulates the Mishnah according to different Tanaim, but he himself does not hold accordingly. אלא רבי טעמי דרב שם מפרש דתניא מניין שאין חייב אלא על שיש בידיעה בתחילה וידיעה בסוף והעלם בינתיים תלמוד לא אומר ונעלם שני פעמים דברי רבי עקיבא. Rav Kana continued, rather Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi is explicating his own reasoning as it is taught in a Braita. From where is it derived that one is liable to bring a sliding scale offering only for cases in which one had awareness at the beginning and awareness at the end, and had a lapse of awareness only in between when he actually transgressed? The verses state, with regard to a person's awareness, that the fact that he was impure and it was concealed, Leviticus 5, 2, and 3, mentioning the concealment twice. The first mention is necessary to teach that one is liable to bring an offering only where he was unaware of his status at the time of the transgression. The second mention is superfluous and serves to teach an additional condition for liability, that one must have had awareness of his status before the transgression. This is the statement of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Meir Omer and the Bryce continues. Rabbi Yehuda, as he says, I'm sorry, not Rabbi Meir, it's Rabbi Omer. Rabbi Omer, Einu Tzarach Harehu Omer. The Bryce continues. Rabbi Yehuda, as he says, this proof is not necessary, as it says in the verse.